This is Mrs. O'Neill for your Chapter 16 Review Questions and Problems. And this is on equilibrium, but more specifically your acid-base equilibrium. So again, take notice of those reactions. You're going to watch the video by pausing when you see the question or the problem, and some of them have multiple parts. You can answer mentally or on paper, having your calculator and reference sheets out. Play the video to see the answers on the next slides. And again, some of these are above and beyond what you're going to see on the test, but will help you on your AP exam. So number one is about pH, and there are three parts. So what you're doing is you're reading A and you're deciding which solution has a higher pH. Hopefully you decided and you got the answer of, I give you a little preview here. We want to remember that higher pH means that it has lower H plus concentration, which means it's more basic. So again, if you were thinking that way, you should have the answers correct. But if you were not thinking that way, you might want to pause and go back and maybe do some rethinking. All right, so now here's your answer to A. And it also has an explanation. Again, sometimes on your free response questions, they ask you to justify your answer. So again, pause maybe and try to justify your answers to B and C. So hopefully you did letter B now. And letter C. So hopefully those make sense, especially with the explanations. And we're on to number two, increasing acidity. And you might have to look up the Ka or Kb values to help you. All right, so here we go. Again, here's my plan of attack. Okay, so we want to remember we're deciding on the salt, right? We want to know where did that come from? Did it come from something acidic? Did it come from something basic? Or did it come from something neutral? So what do I mean by that? So here is your first one as an example. So now looking through this, right, what we're doing is we're breaking apart the compound. You're breaking it apart into the cation positive part and the negative anion part. And where would those come from? And that will help us decide which part is strong, which part is weak. So then we know what the salt, right, this ionic compound is another word for salt, what the salt solution would be. Okay, so again, hopefully you read that over, and now that you have a better understanding, you might be able to answer the other ones a little bit more clearer. So here's number two. Again, there's that explanation. If you have both things that are coming from a strong solution, then you just basically made water. And down here is that net ionic equation of water. Okay, how about number three? Hopefully this is making a little bit more sense. And again, here I had to look up your Ka or Kb values. And 4. Five. And so this way, now we know what the order is from decreasing pH. So again, we have in order of increasing acidity, decreasing pH. So again, you want to remember that here's your low guy, your low acidity to your high acidity. And again, in the middle there, they're equal to each other because they were neutral. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Number 3 is on stomach acid. And we want to remember that sodium hydrogen carbonate is the same as sodium bicarbonate. It's the same it's the same polyatomic ion, but you can see it either way. I believe the bicarbonate is more of an older name, but the hydrogen carbonate is more of what you should know, more modern. All right, here we go is the answer. Again, so besides the answer, you should have something written out. This is part of your explanation. Again, sometimes they give that a point. Your work sometimes is worth a point, just like your answer. Number 4, aluminum chloride. So again, this is a great FRQ question because it brings in that Lewis structure, okay? So again, we're bringing in different parts of different chapters. So your answer to A here. And remember, aluminum is one of those exceptions to the rule, right? He only needs 3 bonds. But I want to remind you, you always want to add those electrons, those dots to represent those electrons around those elements in your Lewis structure. And on your AP exam, they probably would have the layout for you. You would just have to put in the bonds and the electrons. Answer to B. Answer to C. And answer to D. And moving on to number 5, acid strength. Again, I'm going to give you that table on the next slide. Here it is. And as a reminder, we want to do bonds broken minus bonds formed. Usually I don't give you that big hint, but again, this was back in chapter 8. So I want to kind of remind you of certain things. So here we go for reaction 1. You might have also drawn out the structures for each of your substances. That will also help you decide how many bonds of each. And reaction 2. And continuing on, so here's your explanation of the different strengths. And hopefully that makes sense. All right, good luck on your test.